You sound good. Like smack your lips. That sounds disgusting. That sounds like someone playing with like wet noodles.
Welcome back, everybody, to the R&R Catcast. This is Ryan. As always, I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Ryan. How are you doing today, Thorny?
I'm doing well. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. What you drinking over there?
Well, I got Everybody's Brewing Local Lager. It is brewed down in White Salmon, Washington. Never had it before. It's not that good.
Well, why don't you like it?
I feel like I paid microbrew prices for a macro brew taste.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you buy a lager.
An Everybody Lager. Yeah, I shouldn't be too surprised. It's like an expensive Montucky cold snacks.
Okay.
How about you?
I went back to Perry Street again yesterday and picked up their, what's it called, Pacific Northwest Pale Ale.
All right. How is that? You've had that one.
Yeah, I love it.
You've had this on the show.
It's right down my old alley right there. So
nice. You're able to make it out there on Sundays?
Yeah, my wife kind of kicks me out sometimes at night on Sunday nights, and I appreciate the time alone. And
how do I get on that getting kicked out of the house for an hour plan?
Well, you got to get your kids down a little faster, and then you can go catch the end of the brewery hours.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. All right.
Well, for today's agenda, I think we're just going to, I guess we have to recap homecoming, right?
Victory.
Yeah, no doubt. Then we have a little bit of recruiting news and some Weber State preview with maybe a little fun sprinkled in there. We have no guest today, so that would be different than last week. We do again thank Driscoll Cat.
Yeah,
we'll have him on again.
He's a good sport.
Yeah, man, that guy's solid. Anyways, we'll start off with some recap of homecoming. Give us some Idaho news.
Well, again, as is becoming a theme this season in particular, we are off to the slow start, get down 10 points pretty quickly, don't make a rally till about partway through the third quarter, and have to squeeze out a win, hold on tight. It's cardiac cats in the opposite fashion. This time we're holding on for the win instead of trying to come back at the last second. Seems to be how things go. If you look at the stats, if you looked at this without knowing the outcome of the game, that you would think there's no way that Montana State won this football game. We only have 12 first downs. They have 23. We only have 318 yards. I guess they had 347, so they had a lot more plays, but they only averaged 4.6 yards a play. They averaged 4.4 yards a play, where we averaged 6 yards a play. So that is kind of the key difference. We had 8 penalties for 80 yards, which is terrible. Versus their 5 for 43. Other than that, the one turnover was kind of a key difference there. And then our third down conversions were atrocious, and they hit on 50% of their conversions. So really, the turnover and the yards per play is about the only thing that we did better than them, except for the final score, of course.
For sure. I mean, our third down percentage, I was looking at it, we're 4 for 12. That's 33%. It's really just shitty, honestly. So, and then their time of position, they had 38 minutes, almost 39 minutes. We only had 21 minutes.
That's right. Yep. Didn't even get that far. So, yep, that's another strike.
I mean, they were on the field for a long time. That Petrino kid was just dinking and diving us all the way down.
It reminded me of like what was that 90s Colts team where Jim Harbaugh like led them to the playoffs out of nowhere. And he just made a living on like 5 10-yard passes. That's pretty much. I was reading the Vandal message board, and they were wondering like, did we take any long passes down the field today? And then one guy's like, well, if you're Mason Petrino, they're pretty long. I thought it was a pretty funny comment. But yeah, which actually, we'll get right into it. I'm a little surprised we came out in a defense that looked like we were expecting a big pass, because they clearly don't have it in them to hit very long passes. What did you think about that? We adjusted, but what do you think about our initial defense?
We couldn't hold the edge against them. That's the thing that stood out to me was they kept running like 8 yards a pop on us just around the end there, it felt like. And I was just so frustrated. I was like, oh, what are we doing? It seemingly, but my frustration stems, it seems like we just concede a half of football every game. We're like, offense, we're not going to do anything first half. Don't worry about it. Defense, we're not going to really figure it out until after halftime. And then we come out second half and we scrape by, or we rally and it's good, but man, our first half of football is just really has not been really good.
I was thinking about that. You know how they say like home field advantage is worth 7 points? Well, there's been 3 games this year where we've given up 7 points on the first possession for the other team. It was Eastern Washington's first possession, drove right down, scored a touchdown. Idaho drove right down, scored a touchdown. Did they use all 3 of their timeouts or just 2 on their first drive? Either way.
The Vandals were done with their first 3 timeouts within like 3 minutes.
Yeah. But and then Wagner returned their first kickoff for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So there's 3 games right off the bat where that supposed 7-point advantage is just wiped off the board instantly. It's like, we don't want this advantage. Here you go. Here's 7 points. It's frustrating. It's like, and that was obviously a scripted drive that Idaho had. I see why he took the timeouts, because they need that drive to succeed. They can't come from behind. They need to score first. So they had to go all out on that drive to get up 7 points. And that's why, in my opinion, they took the timeouts. They had to get it right.
I don't know if I believe that, Thorny, but I just thought that was just horrible mismanagement by Petrino Sr. there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing that he did. Worked out in our favor big time. Did in the second half too. Nice. All 3 timeouts burned in the first 10 minutes of each subsequent quarter. I've watched a lot of football. I've never seen that before. I've never even seen that in middle school games.
No, I was just sitting there going, oh, what the heck are they doing? It made no sense. But then I'm like, well, you know what? They're marching down the field at a pretty easy clip, so they're doing something right,
So yeah, that first drive of theirs was 9 plays, gets in the end zone. We respond nicely with one of maybe the most impressive Troy Anderson run yet. QB power up the middle, just goes to a standstill. Looks like he's not even moving. All of a sudden, he just bursts out of there. I don't even understand. He just bursts out of there, just trucks a guy, and then just easily juke jumps the last defender, spins in the end zone, and just has this kind of boring, bored arms. Just that was too easy, kind of. It's like Jesus, Troy. That guy can play, man. Quarterback, I don't know, but that guy is a stud. And
yeah, he is. He's unbelievable in the open field. I'm just praying that he can make one guy miss, because I mean, the proof is in the pudding when he does. It's just well, there he goes. I think it was McCutcheon. I can't remember. It might have been McCutcheon. It might have been someone else who said, after the first guy missed, I just put my hand in the air.
Yep.
I knew he's going the whole way.
That was McCutcheon. Yeah, that was. Yeah, and that was the only offense we had the entire first half. I don't think we had any other. Do we even have any other first downs? Or we punted, turnover on downs, punt. That's just, our offense is so similar to the last 2 years in the fact that we either score a 70-yard touchdown or we go 3 and out. And it's getting old, and it's not going to win games late in the year.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to spend some time on, is just what are we doing offensively? And, this one of the best weeks I've seen on Bobcat Nation, honestly. There's some really good conversations about offensive identity, and, a lot of posters are posting what they would, how they would remedy the offense. I was just wondering what you would do there.
Honestly, I probably would have done what the coaches did start the game. They tried to get Troy some quick bubble screen passes, but Idaho was completely anticipating that. And Caden Ellis, who is also a stud, and he's a two-way player for them. And that guy's an athlete, but he just swatted down two of those, and that's pretty much the end of it. Although we did use that to our advantage later in the game. I love the play call where they had Troy Anderson drop back like he was going to do one of those screens, and Caden Ellis jumped and bit on it, and it was a pump fake, and Troy just took off and got like an easy first down off it. So I guess that was the silver lining on that. But if you want Troy to throw the ball, especially in those winter conditions, they're going to have to be short passes like that. And if Idaho's jumping on them, what are you going to do?
Yeah. See, I was thinking is like when you watch the defense, when they stack up against us, they're so close to the line of scrimmage. I mean, they drop their safeties down. Linebackers are just filling gaps right away, and it's obviously they're just trying to stop the run. I keep thinking to myself, why don't we just sneak a tight end right behind the second level right there? Maybe I'm not seeing it, and obviously I'm not an offensive coordinator, but that would seem to like at least soften that middle zone a little bit for us.
We haven't used our tight ends like hardly at all in the passing game this year, which you would think like with the mobile quarterback, some tight end drags across the middle would be a pretty easy 4-yard, 5-yard completion at the worst. Like, yeah, that's a good point. Like you could get them involved in the passing game. We got some pretty good pass catching tight ends.
Yeah, Connor Sullivan,
especially Sullivan. He was a wide receiver who just basically like, you're going to be a tight end now. So, I mean, he's got the frame and the hands to catch some balls. Like, why don't we get him involved?
Yeah. See, I don't understand that. The offense is I have no clue what they're doing on offense, honestly. Like, it's very frustrating, and I just end up yelling expletives at the screen the whole time I'm watching the game. It's funny, like, how you and I texted each other during the game, coming out at halftime. We'll go 3 and out, You're like, yep, there it is. We'll get in 3rd and 8. Like 3rd and 8's the worst for us because, like, what do we do in 3rd and 8? You're just like, well, we ran one good play on 3rd and 8, or 3rd and long last week, and that was the QB draw, and we ran it I think once, and we got like 15 yards off of that. It was a nice play. I don't understand why we don't run that more often, but I mean, 3rd and 8's just tough the way we're running our offense right now.
It's true. Yeah, we're one of those offenses predicated on getting 2 or 3 yards first down, 2 or 3 yards on second down, so we get ourselves into 3rd and less than 5, and we haven't even been able to do that because we can't even. Our offensive line has played okay. They've been a little disappointing to me, but like you said, when they're so stacked against the box, what are you going to do? It's hard. You having some mic issues over there?
No, I'm good. Do I sound all right now?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, it's kind of disappointing to hear that Rovig was going to start, and then he gets hurt.
You kind of got your wish. I think you even. I don't know if we actually said it on the last episode of the podcast, but we certainly talked about it. Like this is the time for Rovig to come in. Idaho's secondary is not very good. I don't even care if he would have started. We could have gone with the classic, kind of what we did at Portland State, where at least Rovig comes in and takes the top off the defense in a couple little plays, but didn't even have that option. And now we're stuck. And I don't want to say we're stuck with Troy, but now we don't even have a viable backup quarterback, which is a little terrifying.
Did you?
Yeah, it was we have 2 freshman quarterback and a converted linebacker, so I've had better situations. Gotta love it. Like he gets it. He understands. Like this is not ideal, but might as well, make the best of it, not get down about it.
Yeah. How do you feel about the win?
Well, I felt like even though we had the slow start, and I'm frustrated with another slow start, and even though we were down 17-7, I felt like we were going to win that game. I don't get that feeling all the time. Like this is a frustrating game to watch, but as I watched that game unfold, I realized Idaho was giving us everything that they possibly could. They were amped up for the game. They were, as far as I'm concerned, playing pretty well, pretty mistake-free football. They didn't have very many penalties, not very many drops. Petrino was moving around the pocket, making some nice little reads, some little dump passes. And maybe it was in the second half where he started hitting all those sideline patterns that were working out pretty well. But so I felt like Idaho was playing about the best they could, and I felt like we were not. And I knew that at some point Troy Anderson would break it open. Some play would break it open, and we did. And I'm moderately happy with the win. It was a ugly game, but that's Idaho's game, and that's kind of our game. So that's what kind of game did you expect?
Yeah, sure.
It wasn't going to be a crisp offensive performance, not with Troy Anderson, and not in those conditions. So overall, I'm satisfied, but we still have a ton of work to do.
I came away from that game, and I was just really pumped up about the win. I thought that was a really good win for us, and here's why. I think we're learning how to fight, and I think that's one thing I love about Choate's teams is, and Choate will say it. He goes, he loves a good fight, and that was a slugfest in my opinion. And to come out on the top end of that, to eke your way out. I mean, you and I talked about it a little bit. Like the Grizz used to make heydays on those victories throughout the season, and that's just a momentum builder. That's a confidence builder. When you can come out on top on a fight like we did on Saturday, boy, that's, to me, that is a huge win for us. And we're looking like a team. Like we're not a pretty team. We're like kind of like that ugly kid in class who's tough, who knows how to fight. Like nobody really like wants to mess with him. But like he's not attractive at all. So like we're we're just like we're that kid right now. And I kind of like that, honestly.
Okay. So we're like kind of like the buff ugly duckling. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. One who knows how to scrap.
There we go.
Much. And I think if I don't, knowing that, we talked about, are we feared across the Big Sky? I think we're getting a reputation of being a hard out. And Choate said the expectation is to compete, and boy, his teams do, and that's one refreshing thing. I think Choate has one of many refreshing things I think Choate has instilled at Montana State.
So I was listening to Tutel on his show was saying that he thinks this is the best conference win against an opponent not named Montana in Choate's tenure. What do you think about that?
I
mean, he might be right. I think he's right.
Well, as far as like scrapping a win together, yeah, I keep going back to last year's North Dakota game when we just ran roughshod all over them, but they were shelled themselves, and we had a pretty complete game. But
True.
Yeah, I think that might be right. In my recent memory, I'm sure I could go back. I think we played Idaho State last year, pretty tough. I might be totally wrong on that. We might not have played Idaho State last year, but I thought we did.
No, I think we did. I remember my first sour taste of Fennessy being kind of a bitter head coach because we beat him last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think that was last year. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. That North Dakota victory last year was impressive at the time. It turned out not to be impressive, and very well this could be the same thing. I don't think Idaho is a bad football team, but they are. Well, they're talented, but they're bad. Their quarterback, I think, is going to hold them back. I was noticing that Petrino might be one of the smallest Division I quarterbacks I've seen in a while. He's listed at 6 foot 180, but he got 180 dripping wet. Maybe did you see that play where he broke the pocket? Stirk like grabbed his arm and just ripped him back towards him and just like swallowed him whole. He just like swallowed him. I was like, it looked like Bryce Stirk was tackling a child. It wasn't even fair. I've never seen a like more lopsided, just like man, so yeah, Petrino. I actually liked a lot what he did, his game, but his game reminds me a lot of like when you have a Division II quarterback coming to town, like an Adams State kind of guy that they can always hit those little passes and they frustrate you to no end, but are they ever truly a threat? Not particular.
Well, I was thinking back on the initial question, and it goes back to exactly what you said, Ryan, that Idaho really gave it their all. And I think Coulter was talking about this, like they didn't want to, I mean, after the Idaho State game, they were demoralized. And, that was just a really bad loss where they got exposed in their secondary. But they came together. That was a homecoming for a lot of reasons. And man, it was a really tough game, and that's why I was so excited for the win afterwards. I just thought it was just a really, really good battle.
Well, Choate had said that he had seen some of the Idaho players like have tears after the game. Like that was heartbreaking loss for them. They wanted that probably more than they've wanted any game this season. I think they're starting to realize, like, the Big Sky is good football. This can mean something to us. Like, this was a packed house. This is a big environment against a good team like Montana State, and it was homecoming for so many guys. They gave it everything they had, and like I said, that's kind of why I thought we could win, because I realized we were getting Idaho's best shot, and we were down 10 points, and you just knew that it was going to happen for us, and we held on for the win. But that's a good point. I think that was Idaho's best shot, and
Right.
yeah.
Right on, man. Well, you ready to move on to what do you want to tackle next? Do you want to talk Weaver, or do you want to talk recruit?
Let's dive into the recruiting news. We got a couple nice tidbits here. I'll start with the real actualized one. Our new offensive lineman, David Hayward. Where did you say he was from? You have that. He's from
Monte
California, I
Vista.
know.
Yeah, Monte Vista.
Monte Vista. And I was scrolling through 247, 24/7, and he's listed as like the 180th offensive tackle in the country, which, doesn't sound too amazing, but when you dig into it, I scrolled through every single recruit above him. There was only one other committed recruit ranked higher than him, according to 247's rankings. That was to an FCS school, and it was Yale. Yale and Princeton like always have really highly regarded recruiting classes, but what does it even really matter? They don't compete in the playoffs, and they're going there for the academics,
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we might have the best offensive tackle recruit in the country, at least as it stands. It's really early in the recruiting process, but I think that's a pretty decent looking signing. He's got a good frame. He's only 235 right now, but I mean, that's how Kramer made his living, getting those guys that are like 220, 230. By the time they're sophomores and juniors, they're 270, 290.
Oh, for sure. Well, he's 6'4", so yeah, he's definitely gonna put on some pounds.
Yeah, I think that's a really good, solid pickup, because our offensive line is young. What do we lose? Alex Neal to graduation?
Yeah.
He's the only senior on that line, and I remember Choate saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Jake Sessions, Jeff Sessions. That's a funny one. Jake Sessions is pushing for possibly starting by the end of the year. He wouldn't be surprised if he starts. So we have some young talent, and I love to see us keep adding to that stable.
Man, those guys are going to play a lot of football together. It's going to be fun to watch the next 2 years for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they're only going to get better and better. Those guys are young, and they're big, and they're going to get better.
Yet another recruit.
So, as everyone has surely found out by now, MSU has offered Gresh Jensen. And what do you think about that?
Well, if you don't know who Gresh Jensen is, last year he was the starting quarterback for the Grizzlies. I think it's awesome. I love it. I think why not? He was a baller. He would, in my opinion, come in. I don't know. I can't hate to fumble over my words, which I'm doing right now. I don't know if he would be our best quarterback right away or not, but he's a proven commodity. He knows the Big Sky. I think it's a very smart move.
I do too, and I don't think Choate's the kind of guy just to offer him just to stick it to Houck or anything like that. I don't even think he would offer him if he didn't think he had a more than good shot of landing him. So it's a very interesting offer. I would say that there's a good chance that if he signs, he's going to be the starter next year. I don't see. I mean, Rovic could certainly come back and push him, and Bauman can certainly push him. And we've heard a lot of good things. Choate was actually raving about Ruben Beltran today too. So there'd be a nice competition next year against a stable of actually recruited quarterbacks. Wouldn't that be neat?
Well, if we use them, and that's the thing I keep wondering in my mind: are we still just going to keep rolling Troy Anderson out there?
I have to think we're not. I have to think he's the best of a bad situation right now. As Joe was joking today, 2 freshmen and a converted linebacker. I mean, I think it goes back to we had talked about, is it too late to come back from the Troy thing? Because there's the perfect opportunity to get Rovic involved. I guess all things now, probably for the best that Troy's had all those extra reps, but maybe Rovic doesn't get hurt in the same way if he had been starting. That's a ridiculous comment, but the point is, like, we should have started Rovic earlier, in my opinion. And here we are now with Troy Anderson and no backup. And I think, can you just imagine the explosion in Missoula if Gresh signs with the Cats?
That'd be 2. Greg Rack and Gresh together.
Oh man, that would be fun. I mean, Egris is fun right now as it is, but that'd be even probably more fun than it is right now because it's a dumpster fire right now.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I can't say I'm too sad about it.
No, but I was, as Coulter said, there's a lot more Cat fans who are happy that the Grizz lost than the Cats won. I cannot count myself in that boat. So
that just turns, like, a victory is like a 10 out of 10, and a Grizz loss is like an 11 out of 10. It just that just makes it even better than it can possibly be. But it's a perfect day still if the Cats win, and they did, and I'm very happy about that because we're 4-2. We haven't been alive in the playoff race this late in the year since 2014.
If you're asking me, man, I don't know that answer.
Well, 15 was Ash's last year. We lost. We didn't have a winning record. And then, of course, the Choate era. So, 2014 is when we limped in the playoffs, like literally, because Prukop was like limping in a South Dakota State playoff game. And that was that was the last bastion of glory that Montana State's had on a national scale.
We got waxed by that running back who went to the NFL the next year. I can't remember his name.
Zach Zenner, Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
he was a good. I'm not gonna wax history too much here, but we had a chance to win that game. We just couldn't stop anybody. That was like the beginning of the we're not going to play defense anymore mentality. Like, just not even try it. You had made a comment that you were thinking that our offense is like worse than our defense back then. Do you still feel that way?
Pretty much, yeah. If not like on par, like pretty much equal. Because Jamie Marshall's defense in the latter years, and even when it was underneath Kane Ione's watch, boy, man, we were bad. We were really bad.
So bad.
We were so bad.
Any running back would just burst through the hole and make like one cut. A guy would like break his ankles and he just run 60 yards untouched in the end zone time and time again. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It wasn't even fun to watch.
Like, I don't even want to talk about it. But can I reflect on a better moment when we had a better defense?
You may.
Okay, so I'm gonna parlay this into the Weber segment we're gonna talk about. So I get super jacked when Weber comes around because it has one of my favorite memories as a Cat fan. Back in 2009, that might have been Ash's first year or second year. I can't remember.
It was 2007 because Kramer was fired after the 2006 playoff season.
Yeah, well, there I go. Wrong again, right? Anyways, 2009, we traveled to Ogden, and comes down to the last play. It was 4th down. They were on the 1-yard line, and we needed to stop them. Do you remember this play?
Oh, every Cat fan does who was watching that day.
Cameron Higgins takes a pitch, pitches out to their stud running back, Bo Bolin. He does like a sweep to the left, Jody Owens, a freshman, really kind of unheard about freshman at that point. He was getting playing time. I mean, he was a good recruit, but hadn't made a name for himself. Blows it up, strings it out there, and then we gang tackle him for a 4-yard loss. One of the best moments as a fan. I just remember being such an emotional win. I remember running. I was back in Great Falls. I was watching that with my father, and I remember busting out the front door and yelling like a madman, scaring this little lady walking her dog across the street. I didn't even care. I was so happy. But man, we had some players on the team. That's like the Dane Fletcher era right there.
Well, I think you think of Jody Owens. For some reason, I was thinking Chase Gazzaro was in on that one. So
he might have been.
It may have been Jody, a gang tackle.
Yeah, it was. If you go back, there's a video on YouTube. It might have been a Connor Firstman video, but you'll see it. And the cool part is they pan to like some of the Cat fans or some of the Cat players afterwards, and they're like in tears. Some guys are. I can't tell who it was. And then they go into the locker room after the game, and it's such a cool scene. I've never seen, and I don't know. You're never in the locker room afterwards, but it was just so hyped. And they're chanting MSU, and these guys are just like, I mean, that was like the brotherhood. That at that moment, you could start to see just the Montana State transform into what it was going to become for the next couple of years. This really tough-nosed defense, and just kind of this band of brothers, as like I believe Caleb Shribus says later on in the year. And it was really cool. You know what's interesting about 2009? And I was looking up the stat. It was we were number 1 in total defense that year.
I know people. It's funny to hear people bash on the entire, like, oh, our defense is better than it ever was under Ash, but like those 2010, 2011, 2009 defenses were salty. They were good. Yeah, they've kind of flopped when they got in the playoffs, but they know when the Big Sky could score on us. We had Zach Minter and all those guys, and those were some fun teams to watch. And you and I talked so much about Choate needing that win, that program, maybe not even defining win, but that program launching win. And I think that was kind of what it was for Ash. That win. Yeah, we didn't finish the season all that great. We ended up losing, and the Grizz beat us at home that year. But next year was 2010. That was the year that Mr. Denarius McGee made his freshman start at Wazoo, and we all know how the rest of those 3 years went anyway, 2014 aside.
Absolutely.
That's when things really took off for us. I think we went 9-2 the next year. So that was kind of the turning point for the Ash teams to figure out what we're going to do, because Ash had been kind of middling in mediocrity, really. He was like 6-5 his first year or something like that, 7-4, which I guess now it's like, come on, 6-5, please. But the Cody Kim to Mark Eden days, those were fun, huh?
Well, that moment right there sparked it, and
it did.
It feels like we could. I'll start over. It feels like we need one of those moments now. And this weekend, no doubt, if we go in and beat Jay Hill, in his own
That's my
house.
line.
I know, right? I just stole it right from you. That could be that moment for us.
It could. I mean, this Idaho win possibly could be a lot, like you're saying, like the Grizz under Hauk, his first run. Like, these are the games that they'd have every year. They would like win a 1-point game against the worst team in the conference, and they would end up in the semifinals of the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
They'd have that one game, and maybe that's our game. I don't think Idaho is a bottom feeder, but it's hard to say. Like, how are they going to recover from this, coupled with the Idaho State thrashing? Like, that's just going to be tough for them. And I think they might go to Cheney next week. So Godspeed there, but that's their next game. You want to talk about our next game? We kind of started. Yeah, well, let's get on it.
That's that was a whole Weber intro right there, Ryan. So
as a tie-in, yeah. Sorry about the segue. All right. So this is going to be a low-scoring affair if it all plays out like it should on paper.
Talk about a fist fight. If we thought Idaho is a fist fight, this is going to be just a straight-up brawl.
It's going to make Idaho look like a pillow fight.
No doubt.
This is going to be a pillow fight with like nickels in the pillows.
Here, I want to listen to this stat line, okay, just before we get into the nuts and bolts of Weber. Jay Hill, 2014 goes 2-10. 2015, 6-5. 2016, 7-5. 2017, 11-3. How do you think he got there?
They gave him more than 3 years to turn it around? What?
How do you think he got there, Thorny?
Playing tough defense and building it from the ground up.
Yeah, I think it's a brotherhood over there. They got that culture of grit, toughness, and I think they got a little bit of moxie too. They got a little bit of swagger. They got damn good special teams. They don't have an offense, but I don't think they really care all that much because their defense is just lights out, and they're going to take it away from you anyway. So basically, that's an extension of their offense on the field position game. I'm envious, but I love. I don't know if I love our chances in Weber when we go down there this weekend, but I'm excited to see us fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like they've only scored 14 touchdowns on offense or something. They're not scoring. That doesn't sound right. They're not scoring a whole bunch on offense, and when they do, it's because they were set up by a short field from either a big special teams play, a punt return, a kickoff return, or a defense created a turnover and got them down inside the red zone. I mean, they're like you said. That's a good way to put it. Phrase it like that, and I never really thought about that, but that is an extension of the offense with how like they can put them in good field positions, so the offense doesn't have to make big plays because they're already on the opponent's side of the field.
Absolutely,
what a luxury,
right? I mean, when we come out, we cannot concede the first half of football like we've been doing. We need undoubtedly a more balanced offense, and I just don't know who our offensive coordinators are. Like, I keep going back to the Wagner game and thinking about Rovic and how awesome and balanced we looked. But then with Anderson under center, it just seems like we're not really helping him out all that much with our play calling. So it's frustrating. I really want to see us come out offensively more balanced. We can't continue just to go 3 and outs and not have success. And we need to string together some first downs at least.
No, we can't keep going 3 and out. I mean, that's just killing us. But at the same time, a team like Weber, like they live off their turnovers, so you can't force the issue too much against them. So Anderson doesn't have the accuracy to be able to put it in a tight window when we need him to. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we come out and how we try and attack their defense, because they're probably going to load the box and they have the guys to play man to man. So I don't know if we can get that nice bomb to McCutcheon where he's just a frisbee or a dog catching a frisbee, as he says. I don't know. I think that Weber State defender will be right there to catch the frisbee too. I'm just not sure how we're going to move the ball. I think it's going to be a game of field position, and they have the advantage there. It's going to be a tough game. But do you think if Blue Chapman can get back in, that would be good? I don't know if he'll go a full game, but even situational Blue Chapman might be better than what we've been had. Did you listen to Tucker Yates's post-game press conference?
I did.
It was very interesting what he was talking about. Did I not have it written down? He was talking about how they're teaching them to knock the offensive lineman off, so basically that they can create space so the linebackers can make plays. But I haven't seen the linebackers making too many plays this year. Have you?
No, but we've talked about that.
No, but it's like that was the first time I've heard like it came out and said like we're trying to make space for the linebackers, and I almost think like you need to make the play. Like we need to be teaching these guys to make the play, because the linebackers, I don't know if they're going to. I don't know if I like that we moved Conkle back. It was his first game. I wonder if he's going to stay there because he was a little bit rusty, but he got better as the game went on. I wonder if he stays there. I don't know. We need better play from the linebackers, especially against Weber, and we need the thing I do like in our favor is Weber's probably predicated on wearing teams down, like most teams like that are, but we can go so deep across the defensive line that we're going to be able to weather that, in my opinion, especially with Derek Marks' play lately.
Yeah, man, Derek Marks has been a man on fire lately.
Yes, he'd be starting on half the other teams in the Big Sky, at least half the other teams, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I think if we can get a couple turnovers off of Weaver, we can have a good chance. And another thing I've written down is if we have like a 40 to 50% third down completion, bump up that, because we've been really sorry on third down. If we can bump that up, we might have a chance.
No, I agree.
Is Weaver 7th? Did they in the new poll?
I haven't checked. That sounds about right. I know they're top 10.
Yeah, so this would be a landmark win for Choate. I think we match up well. I really do. So this could be that game. Regardless, within the next 2 weeks, we need to win one of these in order to have our eyes on the playoffs.
I feel like it's that meme on the internet where they have like two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. That's basically what Weber State and Montana State are. It's like you, like we're exactly the same team, except they might have a little bit better horses than we have, but we're running the same style. We're running the same exact game plan. We're both not very good offensively. I think Weber State is 12th and we're 11th in offense in the conference. At least we were last weekend before the Idaho game. I haven't checked it since then, but what do you think the over and under is on 500 yards of total offense combined?
Slide over.
I think it'll be over, but not by a lot. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a physical game. I don't know. I don't know if we win that one, to be honest. My heart says we can, but my head's like, I'm not sure we have. I don't think we can move the ball. You've seen the Weaver defense play, right?
Well, just highlights. They're amazing looking. They're all over the field, and they just bring it. They look like they're just having fun. It's that kind of defense. They just know they're better than everybody else. So
yeah, well, Choate described them as basically they look like a Mountain West Conference defense, the best defense he's seen in the FCS so far. They're a big team. They have big teams. They're big. They have team speed. They're athletic. They're experienced. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to figure out a weakness on their defense and attack that to exploit that with our offensive weapons. So yeah, again, I just to kind of wrap that up. We got to come out a little bit faster. We can't concede the first half of football and just rely on our second half game, which has been awesome. But we just put together a full game here.
Yeah, I have faith that we will find that weakness, but it might not be to the fourth quarter or the third quarter. And we just have to keep within striking distance. I mean, that's how we are. That's how we play. We got to keep close enough if we're going to keep having slow starts where we can at least have a chance come third, fourth quarter.
Okay. Thorny, I was wondering, totally off topic, but I was thinking about this today. We never talk any other sports. Is football your favorite sport?
Yeah. Yes, it is. How about you?
I would have to go baseball would be my favorite sport.
Oh.
Hey, now.
I can do this podcast on my own, I'm pretty sure. Well, good thing we don't have a baseball team to talk about, I guess.
No, I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan, and there's not been much to talk about from them. But Then my other question was to you. I was thinking about this the other day. If you could go to one sporting event within the calendar year, what sporting event would that be?
Just an event, like an actual
event?
So like
a free ticket. Like if money wasn't an option and you could just go, what would be your ultimate sporting event?
Well, I've actually kind of always wanted to go to a World Cup game. As much as I'm not even a huge soccer fan, that just looks intense.
Okay.
The Super Bowl is so commercialized, and I don't know. I just don't think that sounds too terribly exciting. I'd rather go to like the college football national championship, either in basketball or football. I've always wanted to go to a game in like Madison, the Wisconsin Badger game. Maybe when they have like a ranked opponent, that'd be cool. But yeah, World Cup, probably top actual single event.
Okay.
How about you?
Little known fact about me, I'm a huge Tour de France fan. I think I would go to the Tour. In fact, I'm working on getting there. But it would be like I'd follow it around for, take my wife over there, follow it around for, for like a week, essentially. Try to catch 2 to 3 stages. I'd be one of those crazy guys up on the top of the mountains running next to like Chris Froome and guys just shouting in their face, waving the American flag. It'd be awesome.
Wasn't there a guy in like a Grizz garb and like antlers on his head a few years ago?
I've watched the tour. Well, the thing with the Tour is those stages can take hours. And so when you watch a stage from the Tour de France, which is about 21 days, which is ridiculous. The smart thing to do is to watch like the last 25 kilometers of the race, and which could take depending on if it's an uphill finish or downhill finish, it could take anywhere from, 30 minutes to over an hour. And so if you catch the last 25 kilometers, if he wasn't within those last 25 kilometers, I probably didn't see him. But for a couple years now, I've been a pretty religious follower of the Tour. It's been really fun. I don't know why. I don't even bike. I just really like it for some reason. So, and Lance Armstrong puts on an amazing podcast daily. Basically, they do what we do in a way better format, but they do it daily. And I don't know, man. I just love the Tour, so I would go there.
Well, I'll give you a solid good for you, because that's not going to do it for me.
Okay.
I admire them, but nah.
So after that, I'd probably pick a World Series game or the national championship for college football. There you go.
No national curling championship?
Nope.
Good. All right. Well, I think we're about running close to an hour here, huh?
Sounds good to me, buddy.
All right. That was a good one. We had fun.
Yeah. Go Cats.
Go Cats. Yep. We got this. Going down, Wildcats. All right.
I'll talk to you soon.